What is going on, everybody? Mike Motivation Podcast. What's going on? Excuse my voice. It sounds a little froggy. This happens to me once every few years. Um, the weather, don't know if it want to be hot or cold. It be like right in the middle, and that affects me so much. Eventually, sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't. My voice actually will go out, and I can't even talk. It just be hoarse. But it was by the grace of God, I'm gonna get through this, and I'm gonna get better as well. So, with that being said, though, today's podcast, Mike Motivation Podcast. If I had to start over or pass down insight to that young teen that's about to graduate or a year or two from graduating, what would I do or what would I pass down? Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Comment. Let me know how I'm doing. What are some of the topics you'd like to hear me talk about? So today, top 3 skills to improve and increase value for yourself. Self-value. I would go back and tell myself this. But definitely go back and tell myself this. When I go around and start talking to kids, I'm definitely going to tell them this. And what I found out is sometimes some people just can't digest these things because it makes you have to challenge the very thing that you think is working for you. But it may be working for you on that level, but there are other levels to this. And these, in my opinion, these top 3 things will carry you on any one. But if you can learn them as early as possible, the better you will become. So, sometimes if you don't learn these things, you'll find yourself at different points in the adult life where you just, if we say you fell off a little bit or you kind of fell. But if you add these 3 things to your skill set, it'll start becoming harder to fall. Or if you do, you can get back up so fast, won't nobody even know that you fell. I'm telling you from a person that has made many mistakes, a person who grew up in a family. I didn't have an affluent family. We didn't have connections to government and nothing like that. I'm just a regular, everyday working person. But with these skills, you will improve and increase your self value. Because that's the whole point of why I'm making content. Universal individual development. When you understand that when you turn 18 and you become a man, individual development, that's your number one priority. Whether it's spiritual, whether it's corporate, whether it's social, or whether it's education, you are responsible for your individual development. So, with that being said, let us get right into it. The first one is accountability. You have to learn accountability. I will go back and tell myself this. We all know, we hear the word accountability, but to actually use it in your thought process will make you a totally different person. Sometimes when you're younger, I dealt with it. You fight that entitlement. You feel like you deserve something, but you really don't. In life, nobody will give you anything. You have to earn it, and you have to go get it the legit way. Not to have to step on somebody or stab somebody in the back, but in a totally legit way. So, accountability. Any choice you make, any decision you make, own the accountability for that up front. How do I do that? Just as simple as the food you eat. Be accountable for that. I didn't understand this when I was young because I used to eat so much. But as I started getting older, I had to start being accountable for what I put into my body. When you're young, it seems like you can eat anything, make chickens all day, and Wendy's another day, dollar menu, value menu. You don't really cook as much because you're on the go all the time. One being accountable. I should have been at home cooking for health reasons, but by the grace of God, I'm healthy. But what I will say is being accountable for what you put into your body will make a difference. Before you eat it, is this healthy for me or will I pay a price? Some things that happens to you is not all hereditary. Some of it's hereditary, some of it is a process of the choices that you make and they catch up to you. One plus one plus one plus one plus one, and it adds up. High blood pressure, right? Some people it's hereditary, but most of the time, I'm gonna say 8 out of 10, you activate it by the foods that you eat. If you be accountable about it, right? High sodium foods, what frozen meals. We have like 900 milligrams of sodium. That's crazy. Some people cook and they don't measure the salt. They just put it in there and do it off taste. You gotta be careful about that. That could be crazy. The kind of meat that you eat. We all know that pork has a little bit more sodium count than other meats. Sometimes you can only get what you can afford. I get it. But you have to sometimes you got to find alternatives in what you can afford. You just have to make that extra effort, accountability to go look and find alternatives if it's taking you down through there. Excuse me. Another thing about accountability is being accountable for the parts that you do in situations. Most of the time when you deal with people, another person, spouse, your friend, anything, could be a two-part thing. Action, reaction. But whatever you do, you have to be accountable for. You can't blame somebody else for what you did or didn't do. If you can get to that mindset and be accountable for what you do, if you think about accountability before you even do the action or reaction, it'll make you a better person. It's hard to set somebody off that's accountable about what they do, what they put out, and what they say. Because while you're doing it, they're thinking about if I say this, what could happen? Or if I do this, what could happen? And you'll have some people that say that could be overthinking. If you don't overthink or you just don't think, what are you doing with your brain? If you're just reacting, are you really using your brain? I'm telling you, you should use your brain and think through things and be accountable. So, going back talking to the kids, right? In high school, if you're being truant or you're missing that many days, can you be accountable and say, I missed these many days? A lot of times, kids skip school. I'm there. I was there. Then you get caught up and they ask you what happened. Just instead of just being accountable and said, I skipped school, I just did what I wanted to do. You just be quiet. You try to dodge accountability. And when you dodge accountability, it really makes the process longer than it has to be. When you make a mistake, don't dodge accountability. I messed up. I did that. Nobody else is responsible for what I did or what I said or the action that I did or the reaction. That's totally on me. Because if somebody provoke you, you still have a choice whether to react or act or ignore or go turn away to avoid trouble. Accountability sounds simple, but I'm telling you, this probably could be the number one skill: learning how to be self accountable. And I tell you a secret to the young people out there: the more accountable you are as an adult, the less people will bother you. The less people probably call you because they know that you handling your business. There's no need to constantly check on you. Most, I'm gonna say most, I'm gonna say about 70% of people who are micromanagers, if they see that you're accountable and you're good at time management and you handle your business, a lot of times they won't fool with you unless it's just something they just OCD about. But most of the time, if you're accountable, a lot of times, depending on what field you're working in, people won't bother you as much because you're accountable. Being accountable will take you so far in life. I'm talking about being accountable to yourself, not to nobody else. I'm talking about just to yourself. Handling business as an adult. Paperwork come up. They need you to sign and send it back or bring it to them. Are you going to do it or are you just going to sit on the counter and forget about it? And then take it to them at the last minute and try to blame something else instead of just being accountable. And then if you're accountable, you would have did it right then. I understand things happen. I understand life happens. But I had to learn because I've done it before. I'm just saying it because I haven't done it. I'm saying it because I've done it before. But I find out that if I handle the business right there up front, take care of business, I'll prevent doing the last minute rush to try to do something. So, to all my educational people out there, have you done your FAFSA yet for 2025-2026 school year? Be accountable. Have you done it yet? And ask yourself, why haven't I done it yet? Because it's easy to just not do it, to keep saying, I do it later, I do it later, I do it later. Then you find yourself scrambling to do it in June, July, when school about to start up again. You can go in there and do it. It may not take you nothing but about 15, 20 minutes to fill out, and you're done. If you do it now, it'll be processed quicker, and you can get your results quicker if you do it now. And then you never know what happened in the future. If you wait till the last minute, sometimes something might come up, and you might not can't even get to a computer to do it. Now you in a tough situation. So accountability. When you in the inner city, doing certain things, know you're not supposed to be doing. Be accountable. You know you're not supposed to be shooting no guns at nobody. But you gotta be accountable. If you get caught, you gotta man up. Be accountable for it. You might be looking at 10 years, 10 plus years. You gotta defend yourself, right? Yeah, you can defend yourself, and then you still have to be accountable for that. And then if you're accountable, you would look at, how did I even get myself in this situation? Could I have avoided this? Could I have handled this a different way? Accountability. So I could really talk about this a whole podcast just about accountability. But accountability would definitely take you to the next level as an adult when you really learn as a teen and really take account for what you do. And don't blame nobody else. It's all you. Whatever choice you make, you got to take accountability for it. And if you don't want to do it, If you're accountable, you're gonna say no because I don't like the outcomes that I'm seeing by thinking about this choice or decision. And that's one of the best things you can do. Before you make that choice, look at the possible outcomes that can happen. And some people are gonna say you could be overthinking. I'd rather try to use most of my brain than not use it at all. That's just me. So the next one is education. People out here saying education or college is a scam. They don't need education. I beg to differ. I'm saying, please stop the cap. You can only go so far with a high school diploma. So far. You really can only get so much unless you're connected, you know people, and even then, what if something happens? You could fall so far down the hill that you won't continue where you left off at because you got there through connections and hookups, but you didn't never develop your education while you were there. So if something was to happen, you can bounce back quicker. Now, when you choose an education path, that's why accountable is first. You have to be accountable on what path am I choosing. You got to be accountable about it. Does this career path have value to it? Is there a demand for it? Where in my area where I live, is there a demand for it? They told me bust out my AP, perfect time, man. Because there are a lot of degree choices and plans out there. However, you have to be accountable, do the research, and find what's in demand. Not what's easy. Not something you're passionate about, because you could be passionate about something and it don't have a demand for it, though. And if you want to take that risk, that's something you got to be accountable for. Taking the risk on something that's not in demand or future demand, and then going to school for something that you're just passionate about and finding out that it won't help you get into a career that you can make a living off of. It's just a passion. Another thing is the commitment to education. Whether it's apprenticeship, there's going to be years of sacrifice because you got to get your hours in, and then you have to go back to the class for like educational classes as far as what trade you choose. Now, you have college. Got to be accountable for that. A lot of degree plans, a lot of journeys you can take. And some people say if you go to college, if you want to take the Pepsi Challenge, you should either be a doctor, lawyer, or a PhD, be a professor. Neither one of those journeys are not bad. A PhD, tenure professor make pretty good money I'm talking about regular people's success. They make pretty good money. Attorneys make pretty good money. We talking about regular people's success. They make pretty good money. Doctors definitely make good money for regular people. But guess what? In order to get to the end of that journey, it's a path that you got to walk. Some days you're not going to feel like doing it. You got to will yourself. There will be years of sacrifice. Think a doctor is like a 10-year journey. I think law school is like a 7-year journey, something like that. Undergrad, and then another 3.5 years of law school. Apprenticeship could be like a 5-year journey. You got to work and get your journeyman hours, take your test, become a journeyman, and then get some more hours and try to become a master, master tradesman, whether it's master electrician, master plumber, all kind of things, master carpenter, all that. There is a sacrifice. Nothing comes fast. If you want the long money, it's going to take a journey to get there. It's a sacrifice. And you have to be accountable for that. Am I willing to make this sacrifice? Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to do the journey? It's going to be challenging. Things are still going to come up, but am I willing to still complete the journey? When I went to college, when I did the undergrad, I graduated last year in December. It was not easy. I was late 30s, going into 40s, husband, father, and a son. All kind of things came up. Life stuff. Cars want to act up. We had to get them fixed. And I still had to go to class, still had to go to school. All those things. Working full time, going to school full time. Thank God for the job that I had. They allowed me to go to school during the day in undergrad while I was working full time. Now, doing the MBA JD, I go to class in the evenings, so that eased up a lot of I want to say stress, but a lot of workload as far as trying to do work and school at the same time. It give me a little break between work and school, and I go to school in the evenings. But before that, though, I had to be accountable and foresight to say, I got to complete this journey. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my kids. Supported me throughout this journey, and they will reap the benefits of anything that I get. They know that. I will tell any woman, if you have a husband that is trying to develop himself, a husband that loves God and will lead you as he is led by Christ, trying to develop himself, if you support him, I promise you, you will get everything that he gets. It will come. It was like if y'all move as a unit, support each other, you wouldn't do nothing but reap the rewards. Because most guys that come from the inner city, they lack their support, upfront support, because it's most time when you become an adult and you from a single parent household, your mother's still working. She still got to pay bills. Most times, sometimes you be having to pay bills, but everybody has something going on. And some guys, when they become an adult, having that much freedom can be overwhelming because you don't know what to do. That's why you always hear me say, make a plan, come up with a strategy, come up how to execute it, and go handle that. If you don't have a plan or you don't make a strategy, all that free time, it will be overwhelming and you really won't get anything done because you don't have no plan or strategy on what to do. And if you don't get an education past your high school diploma, it's going to be very hard to get past, I want to say 50,000. For a regular person, if you don't have no bills, no you don't have a family yet, and you go get an education and you can get over 50,000 as what, let's say about 22. You go to school, you can be done by 22, 23. Get into that 50,000, 55,000 range. That's actually not bad for a young person. That's a good start. And then as you progress in your career and get the experience, now the value starts to go up. And I'm telling you from a person who didn't really get it at first, education is key. It's key. it's a key. And if you don't have that key, some doors you're not gonna be able to open. Sometimes you feel entitled, but you're gonna realize you don't deserve anything. You gotta go get it. And education is the key. A lot of us from the inner city, we start from zero. And you're trying to figure out how to progress, how to move up. And I'm telling you from a person, no connections like that. I'm not in the fraternity. I'm not in no societies. Um, it's just God, me, my wife, and kids, and family. That's it. And they don't even see me a lot, my family, because I'm trying to handle business. Now, if I would have handled this when I was young, I would be done with school by now. I'd probably be deep in the career. But I'm doing it now. But if you do it younger, execute it and get it done when you're younger, you will save yourself a lot of backtracking when you get older. Let me know in the comments what you think. A lot of us young men struggle with this, and this is number 3: presentation. 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 Most young guys from the inner city struggle with this because we hold on to identities or we really attach to something and we want everything our way. She likes it my way, my way, my way. But let me tell you what I learned. The corporate world was here before I was born. The corporate world is bigger than the neighborhood I grew up in. When you leave out of Southwest, you go across the train tracks on Chico into Turner University, headed towards wherever job you're going on, corporate world. The corporate world is bigger than where you're from. And I understand perception. I understand how people think. And what I would tell you is presentation can be the difference between you making 40,000 or you could be making 80,000. It can be the difference. Growing up when I was younger, I was a little bit more rebellious, a little bit more what am I trying to say? Against the grain kind of stuff, and had braids, had dreads. But the kind of jobs that I had were under 40,000, I think. People used to try to tell me that I should change. And because I was what I was like, man, don't tell me. Do what I do. She likes it my way. So, when you've been around the world like I have, been around this corporate world, what I saw was successful people that's like us, that look like me and you. There is a pattern and there are breadcrumbs left from them about success. I'm not talking about entertainers. I'm not talking about rappers. That's a whole nother ball game. I'm talking about regular people's success in the corporate world. Everyday working jobs. I think the percentage of people making it in the entertainment business is very slim. Probably for every one rapper that make it, it could be 10,000 rappers that's still trying to make it. But I'm talking about regular working world. For us regular people coming from the inner city, there are hurdles already in front of us coming from the inner city. You might have 5 hurdles already in front. If you neglect the presentation or say, nah, I'm not doing that, I'm not wearing khakis, I'm not wearing a button-down shirt, I'm not dressing nice, I'm not going to have a low haircut. I'm not gonna do these things. Just know. If you stand on it, just know. There are results that come with it. You see that picture right there of me with that gray suit on? It took me years to get to that point. I remember when I first started going back to church, I didn't even have a suit. I only had a button down shirt and khaki pants. That was it. That was it. I don't even think I got my first suit until I was maybe tw- tw- I want to say 3 years after I got married. I think because I was trying to do the firefighter thing or something like that. Either 2 years or 3 years, one of them. Bought a gray suit. I think I still got this suit too, but I would say, man, at least get you one, a black suit and maybe a blue suit, or get some nice khakis and a nice button-down shirt. If you want to have long hair, you want to have short hair. It's up to you. Just know every thing has a result. The result and the data don't lie. And when you see people like us, that's regular people, successful, just look at how they present themselves. Line up 10 of them. Look at how they present themselves. I'm talking about regular people successful. Um, Black attorneys, black doctors, um, black CFOs, black managers, black CEOs. Just look at the pattern of how they present themselves. Most of them are clean shaved. A high percentage of them are clean shaved, um, or they have a beard. And if they have, most of them have a beard, they have short hair. My hair just don't grow in. That's why my hair is short. My hair don't grow in. If I had if my hairline was better, I probably would have uh, my hair, but it don't. So I just go bald. I'm not doing the whole glue thing with the fake hair. I'm not doing all this too much. Presentation makes a difference. There are some jobs when you get to a certain level of job. This is just my opinion. I think you need to wear a suit for an interview. If you want to get above 50,000, you probably want to wear a suit for an interview. There are many places now to get suits from, like say Alain Dupatit. I got once a blue one. It's like $50 for that suit. Bought another one, I think for like $50. Need to get a couple of more. But there are places out there that sell suits, and I'm 6'5". It's hard to find stuff when you tall, but if you're like regular height, man, you can go to Goodwill and get a really nice suit. You'd be surprised. But in my last one on this, and I'm gonna get out of here, is the mental battle of adjusting or changing. I went through this many a times. The mental battle. You're so used to doing things one way, but in order to go to the next level, you gotta do things another way. And one thing God showed me is you cannot be attached to any one thing in order to grow, especially in me and especially in self development. You cannot be attached to any one thing. You can't be attached to hair. You can't be attached to this beard. I can't be attached to these glasses. I can't be attached to these clothes. You got to be willing to adjust or change. Nothing wrong with adjusting or changing. But somehow we've gotten to a point where we feel like, man, I'm going to be I am. I'm going to keep it real and all that. But when I had, when I got married, I had a kid, two kids rather, but having a kid, being married, people depend on you in order to get to a level where you guys can live comfortable. There will be adjusting and changing. And it could be a mental battle, but ask the Lord to help you through it. I'm telling you from experience, a lot of brothers go through that mental battle of adjusting and changing. They feel like they selling out. They feel like they losing themselves. And I'm telling you, if you learn how not to be attached to anything, you can get through anything. It's hard to get to that point because people are probably gonna look at you crazy. Oh, he desensitized. He this, he that. That's fine, but mentally, you being stable, great condition. You don't worry about material things. If you have them, okay. If I don't, fine. I'm not worried about it. But when you go to different levels, you can see what patterns or what are some of the things you're gonna have to adjust to, and you can make that decision. Either I'm adjust and change, or I'm gonna stay the same, and I'm gonna have to deal with the results either way. Do I want to be great, or do I just want to be comfortable in where I'm at? In order to be great, in my opinion, you will always be adjusting and changing, always working to get better. And I'll leave you with this analogy, and I'm gonna be out. If you watch any basketball player, the great players always add to their game in the off season. So when they come back, they got that much more in the arsenal, whether it's offense or defense. They train on, if you already got 5 things, how do you add the 6? Same way in the corporate world. You may have 5 skills. How do you add that 6th, 7th, and 8th skill? How do you get better the next year? As a husband, how do you get better the next year? Do you listen more? Do you support more? Do you get more education? How do you adjust and change for the betterment? How? You have to be accountable about that for yourself. When you learn how to deal with yourself and be accountable to yourself, I promise you, you will change. You will make the adjustments and you will get better. But if you fall in that trap of, I'm going to keep it real, I'm going to be me, you same OG like Genuine, or you feel like Tank you deserve, or here's another mindset.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
You can't get stuck in the, I'm keeping it real, I don't want to change. Because what'll happen is you will block your own opportunities by you being in the way of yourself. And a lot of times I found out that I was in the way of myself a lot of times. I really was. I was in the way of myself. And the minute I learned that I was in the way, I got out the way. It seemed like things started to open up even more. But you have to make that decision. Sometimes it ain't talking to somebody else. It's talking to yourself. Sometimes you got to tell yourself, Mike, we got to get it together. Sometimes you got to pray to God by yourself. Say, Lord, what am I doing or what do I need to do? Because I'm at a point where I don't got all the information, but I'm going to have to make a decision there pretty soon. So I'm asking you for insight and wisdom. Sometimes you got to do that as a man. One of the best things I learned when I came to church and saved for myself is humility. I knew how to be arrogant. I knew how to be confident, but I didn't not understand humility. But that's what God showed me about humility. You can be talented, you can be great, you can also have humility as well. Sometimes in the inner city, humility can be looked at as a weakness, but it's actually a strength. But you have to get to that point in your head. Some people just haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm telling you, the quicker you can get to that point, the better off you'll be. If you can get to that point where you can be accountable, get to that point where you can improve your education, get to that point where you can make that change of adjustment to your presentation, and get to the point where you can win that mental battle of adjusting and changing, I promise you, you will go further than what you thought you did in your universal individual development. This is the Mike Motivation Podcast. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. And with that being said, I am signing out.
They told me bust out my AP, perfect time, man.